Hello everyone, my name is Jeff and I'm a game design student at Full Sail University. This Pecha presentation is on the systems of magic in various novels, though this should also apply for other media. There's a lot that can be said on this topic. What I'll be covering here will serve as an introduction to magic systems. That said, this is purely based on my own experiences. I haven't done a formal study or sampling beyond my own voracious reading to back up this information. So take everything with a grain of salt, as I'm just going off of what I've experienced. There's a lot to say, and not much time to say it, so let's start. There are four primary categories that all systems of magic fall into: divine magic, arcane magic, elemental magic, and nature magic. Across the hundreds of novels and manga that I've read, both Western novels and translated Eastern novels, all systems of magic fall into these four broad categories. Divine magic encompasses a user receiving help from an external source. This source could be a god, or generations of ancestors, summoned beings, or even totems. Examples include praying for healing, summoning undead, incarnations of entities, or even spells involving ghosts or spirits. Arcane magic uses a resource to invoke incantations that often go from simple to complex. A resource such as mana, blood, the force, the weave, spiritual energy, or demonic energy is often used in conjunction with incantations, runes, gestures, formations, or arrays to cast spells or produce phenomena. Elemental magic uses elements such as water, fire, wind, or earth to create effects, and they go according to the user's will. What constitutes an element can vary between novels, but the most common elements I've seen, besides those four, are light, darkness, metal, wood, lightning, air, and shadow. Nature magic often uses a resource such as mana or spiritual power to enhance a living organism, enchanting plants to grow or attack, using a resource like ki, chi, or inner energy to enhance the human body beyond what an average person is capable of, understanding universal laws to grow stronger. Depending on where the author grew up, their experiences, and what they've read, what they incorporate in their books will vary, both in terms of content and style of magic system used. Western authors tend towards using arcane and elemental magic, whereas Eastern authors tend towards divine and nature magic. A good example for Western fantasy readers is the Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, using different metals as a resource for magic, which would be an elemental magic system. Jim Butcher's Dresden Files series uses an arcane magic system involving incantations, spell components, and gestures to cast a variety of magic. Though rarer, some authors like Brent Weeks uses with his Night Angel trilogy uses nature magic, having the Kakari that enhance the user's body. Terran Matharu's Summoner series involves using external summoning of creatures, possibly using runes, which we'll cover later, and that falls under divine magic. For Eastern fantasy, there's Ai Tomatoes' Quailing Dragon Saga, which is a Chinese novel that uses nature magic. The characters use understanding of natural laws to enhance themselves and attack others. For divine magic, there's Hiroyuki Takei's Shaman King, a Japanese novel where spirits are used to enhance each shaman or to attack. Similarly, there are examples for arcane magic systems in Tomoto Sui's Golden Word Master, a Japanese novel where the main character writes words or phrases to determine a spell's effects. In McEnroe's The Book-Eating Magician, a Korean novel, the main character uses a variety of elemental spells. As I mentioned before, this is based on my own experience. There are countless authors that write varied magic systems, and if a study was done, data might show that's just not as favored as I've described here, though I do think my speculations are reasonable based on cultural influences. Popular folklore and myths in the West have shaped fantasy novels towards the arcane and elemental systems. From tales of alchemy turning lead to gold, a clear use of elemental magic, to figures such as the wizard Merlin or the Galdra Book, an Icelandic book of magic. Polytheistic religious beliefs have shaped Eastern culture such that their influence tends towards divine and nature magic systems. China's Jade Emperor and the Celestial Court, or Japan's Onmyodo and Shikigami. Confucianism, Taoism, Shinto, and Buddhism, these schools of thought heavily influenced Eastern authors. Now, many systems of magic share common points, usually the resources they draw from. Nature magic, arcane magic, and elemental magic tend to use a resource to cause an effect. How that effect manifests and how it interacts with the world changes the system that it is categorized as. A good way to look at this is to reference Taoism. The Tao begets one, one begets two, two begets three, and three begets all things. The Bagua, or 8 trigrams, displays this. From one resource, you could have 2 different ways to view it, 3 different ways to use it, and infinitely many variations of it. In some cases, usually with arcane and elemental systems, although it is present in all systems to an extent, magic can be written out in script, runes, or something similar. Written magic offers a variety of options, from the convenience of spells on the go to complex rituals far beyond the bounds of a typical spell. And although each system has its own style, magic systems typically include a level progression that judges someone's mastery or progression of power from weak to strong. Eastern novels typically have each level further broken up into 3, 9, or 12 stages or sublevels. From what I've read, all magic can be divided up into 4 different systems: divine, arcane, elemental, and nature. Western novels tend towards arcane and elemental, Eastern novels towards divine and nature. There may be common points, but focus and use differs. This is just a primer. There's more to say than this. Thanks.